No one, not even the federal government, uses the electric car chargers the federal government used your tax dollars to install and then maintain. So you know what the feds are going to do about it? They're going to put in more car chargers. And I'll show you the documents today to prove it. Albert Einstein once said, or at least it's been said that he said, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I know this is a very overused cliche, but I suppose it's so overused and so cliche because it seems to consistently hold true, especially when we're looking at the actions of Justin Trudeau's federal government. For example, they bring in the carbon tax to lower carbon emissions. Emissions still go up, so what do? Raise the carbon tax. They bring in restrictions on legal gun owners to bring down gun crime. Gun crime continues to go up because it's done by bad guys who don't comply with laws anyway, so what do the Liberals do? They bring in more restrictions on lawful Canadian gun owners. And in today's story, they erect car chargers so that people use electric cars, but people don't use chargers because they don't use expensive and unreliable electric cars. So the Liberals, they're going to put in more car chargers. Let me show you. The story starts actually a few weeks ago with this story in Blacklock's Reporter. Department of Environment electric charging stations go months without seeing a single user, records show. New data confirm a 2019 audit at the Department of Natural Resources that public charging stations average as few as 1 or 2 cars daily. We will be deploying these charging network stations all across the country, including in rural Canada. Okay. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault testified March 24th at the Commons Environment Committee. In Quebec in 2015, we had 6 charging stations. We have more than 2,000 now. Yeah, but nobody's using them. Guilbeault, in an inquiry of ministry tabled in the Commons, listed charging stations installed at Environment Department offices with a daily tally on usage last January, February, and March. The figures were requested by Conservative MP Robert Kitchen from Saskatchewan. So you know what we did? Of course you know what we did. We dug up that inquiry of ministry to look at it for ourselves, and we'll publish it here for you to see it too. We can tell you the Pacific Wildlife Research Centre in BC averaged about 1 car every 10 days during the winter months. February and March, those deathly cold months here on the prairies, the chargers at Saskatoon's Prairie and Northern Wildlife Research Centre saw 0 visitors. At the Canadian Centre for Inland Waters in Burlington, Ontario, there were also no cars in January and February. In Ottawa, where all the bureaucrats are, 1 charging station there saw about 1 car every other day. According to that Blacklock story, putting charging stations all over the place cost over $200 million alone, and that's just in Ontario and Quebec. And the lack of usage goes across the entire government, not just the Department of Environment. The CBSA has charging stations that were put in place that have never been used because they have no working vehicles that could even use the charging stations. Look at this. The charging stations have not been used since their installation due to lack of fleet vehicles at the site, or they are not operational. Let's keep going. Every single RCMP charging station only has 1 car that uses it per day. It looks like the 2 charging stations at the 2 Rideau Street location in Ottawa have never been used. Their numbers are always 0. Transport Canada does not have electric vehicle charging stations on its properties. And that's weird because Transport Minister Omar Alghabra doesn't exactly practice what he tells us to do, does he? Here are his tweets extolling the virtues of electric cars and him saying that all cars in Canada have to be 0 emissions by 2035. Even the people telling us to drive electric cars don't drive them or charge them for that matter. But it doesn't matter, I guess, because the government has the answer. And here it is. More chargers. Here's the federal government. Public Works, looking for someone to put in more taxpayer-funded electric car chargers that no one uses for cars that they don't own. The definition of insanity. A trope. The tropiest of tropes. But this is insanity. And you're paying for all of it. While inflation due to government spending makes it impossible for you to afford to fill up your own tank of gas. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn. Today's information comes to us by way of an order paper question, but often we don't get this sort of information without filing for access to information. In fact, we filed for access to information in the past on the usage of the government-installed electric car chargers. Now, that sort of work takes time and it takes money, and we do have a researcher who helps us. we don't get any money from Justin Trudeau. We are crowdfunded by our viewers at home. If you'd like to help us continue this important work, to ask the questions nobody else is, please consider making a donation at our special website, rebelinvestigates.com. Thanks.